Welcome back to the North American LCS playoffs. Before we get back into our semifinal action, we want to take a listen to what you've been saying over on Twitter. Earlier in the show, we asked, how do you PAX Prime? And here are a few of our favorite responses. From @LibbyLee, she writes, got to see Curse at PAX. Thanks for the picture. We'll be rooting for you guys today.
In a Dignitas jersey?
Uh-oh, called out.
Libby?
Well,
that's all right, though. That's all right. Dig's already played their game. She can start rooting for Curse. It's all good.
They played fantastically in the round prior to this. Moving on, our next one features some guys enjoying the action from the comfort of their own home. @Sarboche tweets, this is how we PAX Prime.
Looks like a nice party to be attending. That's not actually... Okay, no, that's Mountain Dew. Okay.
Just as potent.
Yes.
Don't worry.
It's a nice size screen, too.
Oh, yeah.
Then @StupidIan, Stupid Ian Words says, how do I PAX? Feeding. #Wards Save Lives.
Stupid Ian. Feeding everybody. That's like jungler in solo queue.
Oh, I'm sorry that...
Words.
I don't know.
Yeah, wards don't deal damage. And our last response has warranted its own subreddit. From @TibbersDuty says, well, they say it pretty well. Oh my god, the odd one. Lol. #best cosplay.
I kind of need chlorine for my eyes and an eraser for my brain.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah. The general
has fallen.
He's taken a long fall.
He has fallen oh so far. Well, remember, you can join the conversation by tweeting on Twitter and hitting us up @LollySports and using the #LCS. Now let's throw it over to Freak and Kobe, who are going to take us back into the action.
Thank you very much, Dash. And that was definitely one odd cosplay here. I'm David Freak Turley, #Puns of Damage. With me is Seattle's 12th man, Sam Kobe Hartman Kensler.
I'll take that honor. Okay.
Absolutely. Welcome to the desk. 5 more games. You're darn right we're going to have. We're heading right back out of the Rift for our next BO5 semifinal series between Cloud9 and Team Curse. And now, in addition to the promise of a guaranteed spot at Worlds, Cloud9 will also be looking to defend their 2-time NALCS champions.
Yeah, since Cloud9 joined the North American LCS, they've won a top spot in back-to-back splits, and their playoff record is perfect. 10 games without a single loss. Despite a rough start to this split, Cloud9 ended the regular season strong, winning 7 of their last 8 games. And because they finished so strong and they took the top spot, they earned themselves an extra week of practice in secret and the ability to go over Curse's recent quarterfinal games. Even though Cloud9, though, have been dark for about a month now, one thing that we can point out definitely is that Sneaky has been a rock for Cloud9 through thick and thin, performing consistently all split long.
And he's been actually rather incredible. So while he was on the analyst desk last week, C9 mid laner High gave Curse a lot of respect after their impressive 3-0 quarterfinal sweep of CLG. He said that actually Curse might be a team to put a mark on their record here.
Yes, speaking of recent results, Curse also have been on a hot streak. They ended their regular season with a strong push to make it into the playoffs, and then in the quarterfinal, they are able to dominate CLG, and as Voyboy said in his interview later, they only had to show a few of the things that they were working on. So they still have much more to share from their playbook. And really, the depth of their playbook is something that we've seen them working on all split long, and the difference now is that Curse have been much better at executing those plans much cleaner. Consistency, though, has troubled Curse in the past, and the stakes are much higher now with a spot to Worlds within their reach.
Yeah, so Curse may be the new hotness in the league, but they still know they've got an uphill battle, and they've got to try to dethrone the reigning champions.
I think Curse is one of the best teams in NA right now. They've basically struggled from the beginning of the season, but as the season's progressed, they've gotten better and better, and I think right now they're looking super, super good.
I feel that even though we did really well against CLG, we still have a long way to go. Everyone on the team is really confident. We know that CLG is a strong team, but they're not C9. And C9 has never lost a game in playoffs, and that's a record to beat.
I think a lot of what the game versus Curse will come down to is getting vision control. It seems to be a pretty high priority thing for all the teams now, so I think whoever can control the vision the best will come out ahead.
C9 is definitely really, really strong. I still think they're the best team in NA, but I think that we can do well. People always like to joke about how Curse is like forever fourth, but this year that's not going to happen. We're just going to be trying to play our game and hopefully take down Cloud9.
Well, I've been saying it for about a month now. I think Curse will be forever fourth at Worlds this time.
Bold
Very
claim
bold
there.
prediction.
Pretty
but I think
bold.
they've got a good shot at making it out of the playoffs here. Of course, we're going to have a quick look at the rosters now as we head into the game. On the blue side is Cloud9 with Balls in the top lane, Meteos in the jungle, High in mid, Sneaky on AD carry, and Lemonation on support.
And on the red side, it's Curse. Up top is Quas. In the jungle, I will dominate. Mid, Voyboy, AD carry Cop, and support, Xpecial.
And in our featured match, we're going to be taking a trip to the top lane for Balls versus Quas.
And this is a very telling lane to watch for this series. Now, historically, Balls has been the top lane bully of North America, and although he can play the tank and utility top laners, he said many times that he much prefers the higher damage carry-oriented champions. But Quas has been getting more confident in his 1v1 ability, and though he doesn't get a lot of attention, in their last best of 5, he showed that he can execute the split push strategy very cleanly, and even when CLG tried to camp him, he worked his way through all of that early game pressure to still emerge as a late game threat and relevant in that game. And also, I want to tack onto this, that Quas, he has a 68% kill participation for this team.
Yeah.
And something that he's improved on a lot is his use of teleport, which is really key for top laners nowadays. He always comes in just at the right time.
Yeah, he's always been all around the map. And to kind of give you a comparison point, the average participation for a top laner in the LCS is 60%. So he's 8% above that mark. Balls is at 55. So Balls has been just like a lone top lane chilling like the entire time on Bruiser guys. So you're going to have, I think, a very different impact on the game. Now, one thing I was looking at as well as we were kind of pouring over stats, we had a nice 5 hours extra this morning as TSM and LNQ put on a great show. I started looking at everyone's champions pools. And you talked about it a little bit before, where Quas has been playing a lot more utility type champions. The Lulu is still really big for him. Balls' roster basically shifted heavily. Like, if you look at the entire split, his top 4 champions is Shyvana, Renekton, Mundo, and Trundle. And if you look at the last 5 weeks, Shyvana, Renekton, and Trundle all disappear. And it's like Mundo and then like a bunch of mage guys.
Yeah, this is something that I really do like about both of these teams. Cloud9 has always been a team that they will instantly pick up the champions that are very strong in the current meta. They pride themselves on adapting quickly to champions, new champions that arise to power, and Curse have done exactly that as well. Curse, they may have the deepest champion pools in the entire North American LCS. They play pretty much everything, and that's why they're able to have such a diverse playbook to work from, because their players are so diverse.
Yeah, and it's funny, you're seeing the Zillion ban come out now. Xpecial hadn't even played that until the playoffs themselves and said, yep, that's in the pool. Voyboy's Tristana is not going to get banned here. I want to see that does come out, because Sneaky does with the champ himself. That might even just be a first pick.
Yeah, Tristana has been a big part of the recent games that we've seen, but mid lane, Yasuo is up, and these two mid laners both love this champion. These are the two guys, they're fairly similar actually. Both of these mid laners are the types of guys that will go in on the front lines.
Yeah.
And Yasuo definitely going to be highly contested. So as we can see, once again, the Rise pick first may open up that pick for them later on.
That's true. I'm actually very surprised as well to see that Nidalee was banned out by Quas just by how good he was in that champion up against CLG just a week ago. But
do you forget the balls on Nidalee?
Well, sure, I know. I mean, and I know the crowd has never forgotten the player's name, certainly. We hear it every day. But it's just interesting because I suppose these guys do share champion pools very heavily. Almost everyone down the line plays the same stuff, so bans become a little bit more awkward here.
That does come with a lot of the teams following the same strengths of current champions in the meta, and a lot of the value that these teams put on them are very similar since they're all practicing together. Not these specifically, though, because you don't want to scrim against the people on your side of the bracket.
This is interesting, though. So Curse actually are picking 2 uncontested champions here, basically. Lulu, not a champion Ball is going to play, even if they were to swap Rise around. And, you know, again, champions like Tristana, champions like Yasuo still being available. The big 3 supports these guys are playing, the Braum, the Morgana, the Nami. Like, none of these are being grabbed right now. Curse are taking plenty of time saying, we'll counterpick you on red side.
Right. Not a lot has been given away yet. Because Rise is a flexible pick for Cloud9, Curse don't really want to jump into anything too quickly. And picking up Kha'Zix is very safe at the moment. Nunu's already banned, and Kha'Zix has really risen to prominence among the junglers, with everyone favoring the max W first.
We'll have to see if that ends up being the build Dominic goes for. Meteos played a whole crap ton of Lee Sin recently. It's going to be, Zed comes in for a high blind picked.
And he's happy about that one.
Yeah.
Stretching out his fingers here. You do need some very quick reactions with Zed. Some interesting recent changes to him. He really jumped up in popularity after the change to make his position after using Deathmark.
Yeah.
Makes it easier for Zed players to catch their prey nowadays.
I found it really hard to outplay him more as champions that are normally going to be very good in that anti-Zed duel, so we'll have to see how that battle comes out here. Voyboy still does have the Yasuo if he wants it, and no one's going to contest that anymore. But his Immaculate Tristana is, of course, off the table.
Yeah, let's see what direction Curse want to go with this one, because Cloud9 are showing very strong late-game prominence here. They've got Tristana and Ryze already to scale up very well, and then Zed, they can use this as a split push. They don't have to use their top laner as their split pusher. If they get high, a good enough lead, they can easily lane swap and put him in a side lane once he's got Blade.
See if anyone from Curse is going to be able to handle that one. They're going to save Voyboy's pick until last. Very interesting to me to see that, but that's the case here. Lucian and Thresh come through in the bottom lane.
All right, so Cloud9, they did a lot of good things so far. You know, taking away Triss is always good against Curse, but one of the things that Voyboy did give away in one of the interviews is that he was also practicing Corki mid. And they have tried variations of the two sort of AD carry champions in different compositions. This time around, I do not expect it though, because that would really, it would make Curse a really big mid-game front-loaded composition here to try and make that push and put some pressure on them to end it before it got out of hand.
Exactly. The only mid laner, semi-AD carry I'd see him be able to play here would be like Kayle. Otherwise, you couldn't ever handle Zed late game, and you'd never be able to handle him 1v1 in general. So I don't think it's likely. Morgana does come through against Thresh. The Elise does come through for Meteos as well, so plenty of setup here for team fights.
Right, and a couple of classics for Cloud9. Meteos and Lemon Nation, two of their most beloved champions here. Meteos does have a better win rate on other junglers like Lee Sin, but he definitely favors Elise, especially in solo queue. Definitely loves this champion. It also adds that double threat of skill shot CC, very long duration. He definitely popularized that cooldown reduction build with her. We'll see what he goes with this time around.
Well, the hover is on Corki. You mentioned that might be the swap here for the double AD carry. Clicks on Yasuo, locks it in. Exhaust Yasuo coming in for a Voyboy. Wants it after all.
All right, we'll see how well they can pull that off, because the Lulu plus Kha'Zix is actually a very strong combo for the team fight for them to pull this off. Using that knock-up. We'll see if they can actually get back there too sneaky, though. We've seen so many games just drawn out long enough for Tristana to really take them over.
Absolutely, and the thing is, you've got this black shield there as well. We talked about Sneaky being this rock for Cloud9, somebody who's always going to perform in team fights, be there for the team late game, and Lemonation is on babysit duty, basically preventing any meaningful damage or any meaningful CC to reach him here. So I think this is a good comp for Sneaky.
Yeah, we'll see how well Lemonation can peel, because if Curse are able to get past the barrage of cocoons and dark bindings, then it's up to him to try and use that Morgana ult defensively to peel off the Kha'Zix and the Yasuo, because those are two very high-powered assassins that will look to take out this AD carry threat in the late game.
That is true. It's a whole bunch of offense basically on this team. You mentioned the barrage of skill shots, but otherwise it's a Ryze and a Zed who are just going to peel by one-shotting people. So
well, the Rune Prison is great because that's just targeted.
That'll at least stop Yasuo in his tracks. We'll see how the rest of it goes here. But now that we see all the teams picked up, we're going to want to actually ask you guys which team is going to go the distance. According to LOLesports.com, 67% of you think that Cloud9 is going to win this one. Kind of a mix of applause there. Of course, you can keep sharing your picks on Twitter as every twist and turn ensues. Send hashtag C9win or hashtag CRSwin to @LOLesports. And we've seen those swap back and forth throughout the games.
All right, we'll see how well Cloud9 can perform in the playoffs, because as we said, they're undefeated. And Meteos has taken Elise actually 8 times out of those 10 games. So that means he's 8-0 in the playoffs with Elise. Maybe regular season, not quite so much.
Well, back to comfort certainly for Cloud9 here, and I want to see how this comp unfolds. We don't see a lot of Zed mid just yet in the North American LCS. Of course, you saw the bans against Bjergsen. You know it's a good champion. But it's fun to see it played.
Yeah, a ton of bans dumped into Zed recently as we went over. We'll see how well Hai can use it, because as we also said, he will not hesitate to go in. And Zed, the best thing about him is that once you do dive in to take out your target, you always have a shadow to escape with.
Yeah, it's kind of the style of champion that High definitely excels best on. I think his most similar player is Reginald from last season. He's a mid laner who's going to take it upon himself to engage, even if he's a single target assassin, or like Karthus, and just tell the team, follow up on this. Don't worry, I made the right call here. And of course, Cloud9 very smart to trust him in his judgments. Cloud9's team fight's probably the best in North America.
It really does show how all of Cloud9 listen to that one voice, especially early on in the game when the early team fights are crucial, and you can tell it, especially with the skirmishes mid. See if Meteos decides to try and get Balls ahead, though. As we said, Balls really preferring those damage-oriented carry top laners. Now he's got the opportunity here with Ryze. If he can get past the early game here and stack up his mana items.
Well, I'm actually glad you mentioned the early game because I feel like these two junglers have had very different styles. In the beginning of this year, Meteos from SF Cloud9 said, we're going to go back to early game. We're going to try to pressure early on. That's how the good teams are winning over in Asia. So we're going to try this style again. But since then, Meteos has played a much slower early game. I believe he has the highest CS at 10 of all junglers in North American LCS. He's back to farming the jungle, back when they joined the league in 2013, whereas Dominate has one of the highest participations in the game, has incredible first blood stats, and Dominate does everything early on.
Yeah, we do always like to go over the first blood stats for Curse, but you know, the Meteos, the trade-off there is, yes, he does get a lot more farm, and he does get a lot more gold actually still than other junglers, but it does cost him in kill participation for the team as well. Cloud9 do have a lot more split up kills. All right, but we will have the lane swap, as everyone can see, in the double jungles. Starting off for Curse.
This is a different style though for Cloud9 though. I think Balls is actually already dual laning with Lemonation down to this bot side here, so more farms coming into Cloud9 right now.
They do want to try and babysit Balls here. Make sure that he can farm well in the early game, try and get him past this hump. And he's not a bad partner to have in a duo lane either. He can trade extremely well early. And if you have the support of a good Morgana who will keep him safe from that Thresh, then he can actually trade freely. And starting off with that Mana Crystal, definitely going to help out.
You can see Trinket required to put in the brush. Special just says, respect this. Okay, Trinket's down, that's fine, I'll go back to my lane now. But the lane is pushing out right now, which is going to mean that Dominate and Quas are going to be unlocked to maybe gank these two Cloud9 members if they want to show bot lane.
Well, there's an interesting early back here for Dominate, and he is heading top right now. He's probably going to try and shove this wave up to the turret to try and get that to reset. You mentioned the extra income for Cloud9 since they are farming all three lanes, whereas Curse kind of gave up that top lane. They don't want to let that continue. You need to at least match the early gold here. So a little bit of double jungle on the double golems, and we may see them try and shove that wave in. See what Cloud9 react to, though, since you see two people top. If they both show in lane, does open up the possibility of extremely early dragons. Running with Elise, that's definitely an option.
All right, and they're going to try to break the freeze against Sneaky. Just note that at the time they come into this lane, it's basically 30 versus 16 in CS for the top lane and jungler combined. So a very obvious amount of gold going C9's way to start this one out. I think they did a great job of pushing the early duo lane here. Nice by Sneaky, I like that. Got every single freaking one.
Gets some applause from the crowd. Good.
He's missed literally one CS.
It is something to note for Tristana, too. You know, great wave control, but then he also levels up explosive shot later and still gets all the CS. Not the easiest task to do. He's right up there with Cop.
And High's having a decent time up here. He is being beat out by Voyboy a little bit, though. So Voy so far with the Yasuo. Now, Yasuo is the second most banned champion against Curse, behind Kassadin, that everyone is banning most of the year. So most people gave a lot of respect to Voy. And let's see him prove why it was here.
Well, yeah, he was one of the earliest North American mid laners to pick up the champion and really show results with it. So no surprise there. Zed, though, has a good chance against him. Interesting that High has gone with the Ignite here instead of Exhaust. When the Exhaust from Voyboy does go down on High, he will probably want to save one of his shadows to escape, either from the ult or W.
That'll be a fun battle to watch, though. I've not seen this 1v1 very much. I do want to know how it actually pans out. It's going to be a whole lot of moving around really fast, and then someone's going to get one shot.
So the possibilities for outplays are on both sides. I really do like that Voyboy has exhaust in this matchup, though. Definitely gives him a good window to work with.
So far, we're just staying with our sort of newfound top and bot lanes there. Quas swaps back. He's 1v1ing Sneaky. That's going just fine. The dual lane of Coffee Special are pushing into the turret pretty nicely, getting good CS for themselves and pushing balls down a little bit here. But Rolvod is kind of trading objectives. Dominate has not found his way in for any kills yet.
You know, it's pretty funny how this game has started out because classically the Curse team is the one who started the mid Tristana solo lane, but effectively Sneaky is a solo lane Tristana in the top lane. So Cloud9 are using solo lane Tristana against Curse by swapping their Rise down bottom to deal with this duo lane here, and it's working out for them.
It's going to create really interesting dynamics because Sneaky's going to be able to outrange like everything Curse can do to him. I feel like it adds that extra weight on a Sneaky's shoulders that he's been able to so far handle, but it also means that Balls, he is a short-range champion. He's on Rise, and if he doesn't get to power up and doesn't get to levels, he's actually quite killable.
Well, having that support there definitely is the right time to support him because he definitely wants to get his tier and his rod before he really starts going for aggressive trades. So he's doing a good job just last hitting down there under that turret, surviving. And the thing about solo lane Tristana and why it's so strong and why Curse and Alliance both used it in the mid lane, a lot of it has to do with her mana-less shoving. She doesn't have to expend resources to shove. Now, that's extremely effective in mid lane because a lot of the mid laners do have to spend a lot of their mana and the lane is very short, so you can shove it quickly and then go farm somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or move over to another objective for your team. Top lane, though, is a bit more scary because you do extend extremely far, and it kind of opens you up to potential ganks early on.
Yeah, I agree, and it's also much easier to freeze the top lane as well if one of these guys wanted to do so. You can lock the Tristana in front of the turret, make her CS in a really, really dangerous spot.
And so they have swapped back after Balls has already got his tier and the makings of his Catalyst. Coming to lane on even footing with this Lulu.
Quas up a level right now, though. It's kind of like item lead versus level lead here, and I think Balls just wants to farm it out for now. Blue buff will, looks like, go to Dominate right here. Has evolved the Spike Racks, did max his Void Spikes. Still keep called out, and there's the blue.
They also have set up a pretty nice defensive pink ward line here for Curse.
Oh, that hook on a Sneaky, though. Black Shield comes in, lets him jump out safely.
Little bit of harass landed there. Not going to be too bad. He does have his BF sword, both 80 carries. Able to trade effectively. It will help out Lucian a bit more because he's got the scaling on his abilities.
But there's actually a significant level lead. One level for both support and AD carry here for C9. Fine's gonna land on a cop. Shield comes out. Hook misses. Black Shield's on the ulti as well. Special is gonna get stunned up, but Cloud9 losing a lot of health from the culling right there by Cop.
See if Lemon decides to go all the way back here. Curse shoving up the lane though doesn't mean that Sneaky will be denied too much. He can stick around and CS at the turret. We'll see how well he does when he's under pressure at the turret. Dragon started out, but Meteos has wards on the area, so they can fight him off it.
Well, Curse aren't exactly leading right now, though. They maybe just want this fight right here. Cop comes in as well. Of course, Elimination's already at half health with no ulti. TP comes in for a ball. Same for Quad. The battle has begun. In comes the engage. Rune Prison on high off the back lines. Now exhausted on both mid laners. And Voyboy is going to be first blood. That goes over to high. Special caught out as well. Cloud9 start up 2-0. The Rune Prison on the Quad. In comes Sneaky in his face. There's a 3-for-0.
Really dangerous play there from Curse to start this Dragon. I thought they were just going to get chased off it, but they stayed on, and the double teleports come in. A split second quicker for Balls, and Meteos almost lands a cocoon right on arrival of Quas's teleport. So they've got everything set up for Quas. He immediately has to try and get out of there, but Voyboy ults onto High and not able to take him down. Black Shield goes on him. They immediately answer the kill quickly, and then a nice binding from Lemonation to pick up one more. Good calculation there from Sneaky.
Yeah. Using
the ult, just enough damage left on his explosive shot active as well. Sometimes you can miscalculate those and look a little silly if you're on Lee Sin or Tristana.
I do that too much. It's not a good habit.
I can see it now, Freak.
They just go across the wall and everything's fine. Oh, the crowd has remembered the top lane and C9's name. That's good.
He's stacking up
1-0-2.
pretty effectively here.
Yeah, he's doing just fine. 64 CS actually winning his lane now. And the thing is, despite the fact that it's, I actually don't want to say despite, it's a 3,000 gold lead, that's actually really relevant, but a lot of very great item power spikes just came in. High's got Brutalizer plus Cutlass versus not even a Shiv done yet for Void. Like, there's so much power on Cloud9 right now that they own this map.
And there's one thing about Cloud9. Once they get an early lead like this, they don't sit on it. They press it extremely hard. You can see what Meteos has done with his build. Going into that Sightstone, they want to immediately get vision down in enemy territory because they have the advantage. They can take those early game fights, and that's how they bring small leads into much bigger leads in the mid game. They keep on forcing the issue, forcing their opponents to try and take fights while they are behind in items, using the small gold lead to open up bigger opportunities.
And that's always been a good thing for Cloud9. They've been great as a reactive team. It's served them very well in North America, and they reacted perfectly to that Dragon fight. 1-3 for 0, Dragon afterwards, and suddenly they're ahead by a whole lot. Dominate tries to make the play top lane, but Balls just playing safely until he's got, like, right as soon as the recall finishes, Balls is back top lane.
He's got that sense, the top lane sense. When to go aggressive, when to push up. Now he's trying to shove the lane in. Dominate returning top side. Might just be going for a regular jungle clear though.
Yeah, I don't know if there's really much for him to do right here though.
Well, what I was thinking he might be going for is trying to defend that pink ward, but he's too late and Balls is going to take it out. Meteos simultaneously takes down the other one. So the entire line here of early pink wards they had set up in defense already taken down by Cloud9.
Wow. And look at this as well. They've already gone into that jungle to control it as the red buff's going to respawn soon. Bot lane pushes up, basically can act as bait if they want to steal the buff away.
It's really beautiful how Cloud9 jump on that vision control game as soon as they have the advantage to back it up. They ward up both sides of the enemy jungle, and they put 5 pink wards down. Every single member of Cloud9 purchasing their pink ward and laying them down.
Oh, it's special out of nowhere. Hit by a binding and down he goes.
Yeah, nothing you can say there. Lemon probably just landed that binding out of the bush to grab the kill on Special. Maxing that one first. 3 seconds, way too long to survive. Oh, only level 4, not quite there yet.
2.75, still too long to survive. 2.5, I forget which.
You're right. 2.75.
Uh-oh, high. All right. He's actually going to go in for this one against Void, but Exhaust burned, but this is the death mark on the way back. Dominic gets cocooned. Void still wants in, though. He's into the battle, high, low on health, but he jukes back up north. The kill goes to Meteos. Dominic doesn't land the Void spikes either. Look at that by High.
High with the fancy footwork here. He does use the ultimate shadow to get away as the exhaust. Waits out the exhaust. Able to jump away from the all-in of these 2 assassins that we talked about, the Kha'Zix and Yasuo. Leave them standing there with just Meteos, who picks up the kill. Beautiful outplay in the mid-game skirmish. High and Meteos back to their old selves. Let's take a look here. Void does go in, and High immediately, exhausted under turret, jumps out. So the entire duration of exhaust wait, a beautiful cocoon landed as well to buy time. And then High jumps back out of range of the missiles. Complete outplay, 5-0 for Cloud9, plus the Dragon went to them, so they have the exact timer on it. They've got plenty of vision down. Should be another pickup for them. We'll see how they force the issue on that Dragon spawn. 1 minute, 20 seconds left.
So far, they've all been on the right page so far. Balls the giant scroll on his back. And he's going to blue left point over to High right here. So far, so good for the blue team. Kobe shaking his head. It wasn't very good, but I appreciate the acknowledgement that it existed. Sneaky and Elimination also doing wonderfully in this bot lane. 2 kills, the eye edge already done before 15 minutes. I mean, what can you say except that Cloud9's been playing like the Cloud9 we expect in playoffs, where they win every time without dropping a map.
And especially when their mid lane is doing good, because High is that voice for the team. You can see it in their calls. They're so confident. Because High has that personal confidence. He's doing well in his lane, the entire team is doing well, they have objective controls, they have all the information that they need to make these calls. Immediately going to clear out wards. Meteos hates any sort of vision inside his jungle.
Yeah. 2 for 1 right there, plenty of money earned. And what's impressive to me as well is just how incredibly good High is. Because you have players like Xiao Xiao who actually don't talk almost at all when they play. They solely focus on their individual playmaking, and he's obviously a great player on one-on-ones for that. You have players like Bjergsen who have to kind of balance the two, and High have to balance the two.
Another binding.
Individually, binding lands on a dominate though, and that's one kill picked up. Now Top is being chased down, the flash on in, dies to the death mark. A solo kill for High.
The Cloud9 combo, binding into Flash Cocoon, lands there. No way he has even a chance to move. They even catch it up with another kill. High going extremely deep, flashing in to get the extra damage down while Deathmark's still active for the extra pop. And man, this is a runaway game for Cloud9.
7,000 gold at 16 minutes in, 0 objectives given up all game. No dragons, no turrets, no kills. Perfect from Cloud9.
And this is the team with the Tristana and the Rise on it, so it's not gonna get better for Curse here.
Nope. Looks like letting him get the Void Boy Yasuo is just fine. High Zed is amazing. It looks like everything else of the team still firing on all cylinders as well. Bottom lane tier 2 now under fire as well. Oddly enough, only one turret. Oh my gosh. The Fog of War binding nearly caught Special.
They do back off after it though, but not before, replacing another line of wards inside the jungle here. Elimination as well doing his part. The double sight stones in effect for Cloud9.
It's actually very interesting the way they're sort of playing it. You mentioned the 5 pink wards that have gone down for C9. Most of their pink wards are defensive. It's largely like these are defensive line of wards. Our sight stones are the way we're going to go in and steal vision control from you guys in your jungle.
And a big part of that is because it's so easy for them to defend those pink wards on their side. It's so hard for Curse in the early game when these pink wards were bought to venture into Cloud9 territory since Cloud9 had the early lead. And you can use defensive pink wards to bait people in to more fights and more kills. Let's see how they snowball topside though. It's the last outer turret remaining.
They just replaced 2 defensive pinks. Oh, High does get hooked in. There's Quas. Lulu's in the mix. High's going to jump away as quickly as he can. Burns a Lulu ult for it.
Oh.
And now jumping onto a special. This is going to be a very, very dead Thresh. And off he goes. High now 3-0-3. 8-0 in kills. Cloud9 still crushing.
Looks like they are going to collapse on top side. Red buff plus a turret for Cloud9 looks to be the issue here. Curse trying to answer though. They want to trade something back, so Cop shoves in mid. Immediately cleaned up by Sneaky though.
Look at this. Top lane outer now under fire as well. Cloud9 doing such a great
Whoa.
job pushing. Oh wow, Quas, you're kind of alone right here. Flash engage from Lemon. Quas with absolutely nowhere to go. In comes the Shadow, in comes Rise. Easy kill pickup for Balls right there.
This is a massacre right now. One more kill to bring it to 10-0 for Cloud9. Clean sweep on turrets. So far, perfect game being played from them.
Man, I was hoping we were going to get a series much like TSM versus LMQ, but this is more like TSM versus LMQ Game 5. Just start to finish, amazing play. Now, we have seen teams turn it around very heavily mid-series, and I don't want to count Curse out.
Pretty early for that. Let's see what this teleport turns into.
Oh, no bind. Quas is now in
He wants
Elimination,
vengeance.
has Black Shield on. Those going to break that. The Hex could be there. Good damage comes out. Elimination forced to burn exhaust, but here comes I Will Dominate. The good binding might just save his life. Dom will slow down. High gets his shield on. Not in range for the Glitter Lance, though. Does High even want to be part of this? Yes, he does. Sneaky shows up. Nice knockup from Quas with the damage coming through. There's the pop. Sneaky gets one. Quas, one hit from dead. The shield keeps him alive, but it's 10-0 Cloud9.
This is playoffs Cloud9. What a miraculous display of skill here. Perfect game still on the line for them. Balls is just by himself down there taking turrets. Rise is one of the slowest at taking turrets, but you know, he's been farming up CS, and that's pretty much all he wants. Solo lane CS, he'll take turrets as well.
Yep, 150 CS still powering on up. I mean, there's still such amazing late game insurance on Cloud9. Like, they don't even have to play this aggressively, but they're such a darn good team they are because they can take those advantages and push farther and farther in the lead, not giving any room to Curse whatsoever.
See what Curse's answer is. They have to think back to the very beginning of this game, already trying to come up with answers for game 2.
Well, the early Dragon step 1, because that set a 30,000 gold lead.
It really was catastrophic for them. I mean, they didn't really sweep it out, did they? They didn't have any pink ward.
No.
There was just a Cloud9 ward sitting in there, and they even showed all mid laners hung around and really committed to it. Oh, never mind. That mid lane is the last outer turret for Cloud9 to take.
All right.
There they go.
And now top lane threw it off. You always see 3 turrets, you're like, all right, outer ring is gone. Great. Nope. But that is Cloud9 now 10,000 gold up 20 minutes in. Absolutely massive by these guys. Have gone back and bought recently as well. So that money's actually all in items right here.
Man, what does this do for your team's confidence, though? Cloud9 have to be ecstatic right now. And Curse, they really can't lose their cool. It was something that we did see early in the season from Curse, where sometimes in games, they would play the games very close, and then they would have one little mistake that would snowball out of control, and then they would kind of lose control of the game from there.
Yeah.
They can't let this happen in a series, best of 5 series, just because one game they get destroyed early on. Shouldn't let it affect their confidence in game 2. You can't let it affect your gameplay.
Ooh, Kopp wants the battle below. Oh! Sneaky takes him out. A black shield for support, and now the engage from high as well. He's going to grab it special cleanly. Jumps on back. Turret can't claim immediate elimination in the mix, though. He's going to lose some health. There's a knockup from Quas, and Lemon will go down. Finally a kill for Curse, but the mid-tier 2 is gone, and Balls now also in the mix. Boy forced to run away. 100 health left on him. That's an ulti coming across. Not going to be nearly enough, though. 13-1 for Cloud9.
All right, I do need to add an addendum. It should affect your gameplay, because there are things you need to change from the first game.
True.
But you shouldn't let it get into your head. Surrender
Holy
does
cow.
come down.
22-minute surrender out of Curse. They put a kill on the scoreboard, so that's all we're playing for. Drop this one out, go for game 2. Now, it is a best of 5. There are adaptations to make, there are changes to make here. And you know there's still 2 games ahead. You can't be that happy yet as Cloud9. You've got to repeat the performance 2 more times.
And we'll have to take a look at the picks ban second time around, because as we said, these 2 teams are so interesting because they pride themselves on quickly picking up every single champion that has success anywhere in the world, so that they can use this as one of their tools. Both of these teams have so many options available. You can't ban all these out. Like we've seen Zed banned out so many games.
Sure.
It gets through in this one because there are so many other priorities for these guys.
And that's the crazy thing as well. I mean, on one side, you can't even predict that high Zed was in the pool yet. He hadn't played it yet, to my knowledge, this split so far. But yeah, you're going to leave something else up if you ban the Zed. You're going to leave something else up if you ban the Rise. You're going to leave even more crazy things out for Cloud9. The Nidalee, the I believe Maokai banned out as well. Like all these important champions were waiting in the wings if you drop one of those bans here. So yes, I think there's much more still in the pool for C9, but you still have to adapt if you're Curse.
They definitely need to dip into that playbook that is very deep, because the classic sort of Assassin's Dive with Yasuo here, not working out early. But again, comes down to early game plays. And the early Dragons have determined so many games. With the importance of Dragon now, with all the extra gold put down there, if you lose the team fight and the first Dragon, it's extremely hard to come back from. Cloud9 really putting on a clinic showing why it's so hard to come back from, because they invested heavily in Division right after that, double sight zone immediately, and they controlled the entire map.
Yeah, it really felt like Curse played into Cloud9's playbook. There's 2 things that C9 are really good at above all else. Team fighting, and then playing from ahead. Cloud9 have never thrown a gold lead farther than 600 gold. If they're up more than 600 gold in a game, they have always won the game.
Well, they're also good at coming back from games.
Sure,
so
but like they still went, what, 18 and 10 in the season, right? They lost 10 times this split. It wasn't from getting ahead 3,000 gold at 7 minutes, right?
So basically what you're saying is they're good.
Yes, Cloud9 are obviously incredible, but I think you don't give them those early game leads and the early team fight that they excel at so heavily. You play around the ganks, you play around the fact that Meteos is a farm-oriented jungler. You make your individual plays and play from a gold lead spiked out of your lanes. That's what it is to me here. But guys, please keep sending your highlights from today's action to us at LOL Esports on Twitter. Use the hashtag LCS Big Plays. We want to see what other awesome things come out by the end of the day. But to take us through C9's commanding start to the series, let's throw it over to the guys at the analyst desk.
Thanks, Freak. An extraordinarily dominating win there by Cloud9. It looks like they're just as hungry as ever for yet another North American championship.
I got some housekeeping to do really quick. Probably. I think C9's going to win this.
Oh, man.
What's your prediction?
Oh.
I got to throw that at him now.
He got it in. He got it in there quick.
That was already my prediction. This is unfair. I call him mulligan. I'm taking a mulligan on this one, boys.
Cloud9.
Yeah.
Let's get into the game though, because we saw some new picks compared to the last series. We finally saw Zed get through, and High I mean, he seemed to keep up with his skills on Zed as he used to be a Zed player, and he finally gets the chance to pull it out.
He was super happy about that, too. You could see him on the screen when he locked in. He's like, all right,
Stretching his
it's time to
fingers,
time to do some Zed stuff.
Yeah, because I mean, back in the day, that was his champion. It has a way of engage, a way of assassin, and it has a good like lane presence. So it's basically like Hai's perfect champion. Not to mention, you only need 2-3 items on Zed to be effective. So the fact that he's not a supportive mid, but he kind of gives a lot of lane CS to his other teammates, actually really complements that playstyle.
Yeah, and that was just a huge display of power, mobility, mechanics from Hai. And the fact that he's the shot caller of the team, he's the captain, he moved all around the map very early on. It was almost a perfect game from them, too.
And Zyrene, talk to me a little bit about the choice to go with the lane swap in this matchup. As we saw standard lanes across the board in the previous one, here we see the lane swap, but we had one team, Curse, choosing to go with the double jungle, while Cloud9 chose to throw their support and their top laner in the duo lane against the AD carry and support of Curse.
Yeah, it was really interesting because they didn't give up too much dragon control by doing that, because then you could just stall it out, have Tristana run from top lane down there if the dragon was started at all. But they also had a gold generation item on Elimination's Morgana, and he took some CS for himself too. So they had about a 500 gold lead before that dragon fight even started that they did all show up too. So the lane swap was very intelligent by Cloud9 to do, and Sneaky is kind of the MVP of that team this split because he's been very consistent. So why not put some free farm on him where he doesn't have to go up in a matchup? So.
You mentioned the dragon fight. I want to get into that as a replay because I think we're going to get pretty in-depth with it, as it was a huge turning point in the game and kind of where everything fell apart for Curse. So we're going to pull that up onto your screen here, and Prawley, take it away.
Yeah, so this is so Curse starting the dragon, and we can start rolling it. Right now, we watch Balls. He starts backing up to his turret because he wants to get that TP off. And Balls actually gets the early TP, which is very advantageous. And then we're going to freeze it right about now. So Quas responds immediately because he knows his team's already dedicated to Dragon and they need to do it. The problem with this is they have 4 people around the Dragon, and Quas is technically overextending, although he's not in there. So at this point, they need to either turn and help Quas, or they need to cut and run, and Quas needs to flash out, and they need to pick a new engage. But we can roll right now and notice that they do neither. They actually have Quas flash out, but they stay in the fight. And they actually have Voidway go in before they can relocate. And now they're already at a health disadvantage, and they use their Yasuo ult that got exhausted. So they basically are down 2 ultimates to start this fight. And at this point, it's just Cloud9 trying to clean up after, they take damage from Dragon, so they're already weaker on Curse's side.
Yeah, when you put yourself in that situation, I was thinking about the hypothetical there. Quas, he could have just stayed where he was because 3 people clumped up on him. They missed the cocoon. If he had ultied himself, it would have been a 3-man, possibly 4-man ultimate there for Yasuo, which he ended up only using on Hai. And you were talking about this, where you can't blow up a Zed unless everybody is on him because he just has so much mobility. He's very slippery at this part in the game because nobody's got burst potential. There we go. Words.
Now, yeah, right. Now, hindsight being 2020, of course, we can come up with a lot of different scenarios that Curse could have played out in that situation. Probably as someone who has played in high-intensity games like this, team comms. Is it time for everyone to be quiet and one person is making the calls, or is it relying on instinct there and trusting that Quas will make the right decision? How does that go?
I'm not quite sure how Curse's voice comms go, or who's the shot caller for that. But in complexity side, if that's something that we happen to run upon, we'd notice West calling out he's TPing in, and then at that point it'd be either me or Kez yelling, "We need to help West," or "We need to run from this," or "We need to burn Dragon and then get out." So it's kind of like the second you see your teammate in a dangerous position, someone just has to yell out what to do, and no one questions it. Everyone has to follow it.
I mean, at this point too, you're down 3 kills, a dragon. You are already in a bit of a gold deficit, and things just start to crumble around you as a team. And that is harsh maybe to say to Curse, but they're in a pretty tough spot now mentally to try and get back into this series. What are the first steps to rebuilding that?
Well, first of all, you have to come to terms with you just gave away the largest gold lead at 20 minutes this summer split to the team you are going to continue to play this best of 5 against. They surrendered, so they didn't have to continue to go through that burden. They can regroup, they can give themselves some time, and they don't have to keep taking that beating. So I think surrendering actually was a kind of a good idea by them in that regard, to keep their mentality up and keep their outlook positive.
I feel like the surrender definitely it puts a stop to, I guess, the pain of having to live through it. Although there has been arguments made for prolonging the game so that you have the opportunity to talk about, prolonging the game maybe to win, but prolonging also just for the opportunity to talk about what you're going to do in the next game. Because now Curse, they've only got a short period of time to reformulate an entire pick ban phase and then a play strategy on the other side of the map. So my final question to you probably is, what are we going to see in pick bans? Are we going to see that Zed off the board?
I think it'd be really smart to ban Zed. I feel like that's just a high staple champion, similar to Bjergsen's Syndra and Zed. It's just, regardless of if he's played it recently, you know he knows the ins and out of that champion, and it's really scary for him. So I could foresee maybe a first pick Zed on Curse's side. Maybe that, maybe Tristana and try to pull it mid. So I think they actually have a lot of room. I don't think that game decides what they need to do. They still have another game or 2 games to lose before they're out. So I think they have a lot more room to kind of, do what they want to do.
The series is definitely far from over. I will be curious to see what Curse decides to come out swinging with this next time around, but we'll see if Cloud9 can keep that momentum going in Game 2 versus Curse. The action continues after this.
Yeah, can we go? Kill Lulu. Careful. Yasuo. Go. Thrash. Yo, Lulu.
We can drag.
No flash.
Keep going. Yeah. There's no flash.
Nice. Good job, guys.
Dominic gets some food. Voice still wants in, though. He's into the battle, high, low on health, but he jukes back up north. The kill goes to Meteos.
Oh, another binding.
Soul individually finding lands on a Dominate, though. That's one kill picked up. Now Top is being chased down. The flash on in dies to the death bar.